In this video, I want to talk about error handling, where currently we have this server error that was generated to capture the errors of, well, some of the errors of this application. And so in this case here, where we try to take the address that's supplied and turn that into a socket adder, something can go wrong. It may not be able to resolve that properly, resulting in this bad sock error or bad sock adder message. However, it doesn't actually communicate all of the error state, in the sense that two socket adders can return this error value as well. And that's not provided to the caller. Now, I'm going to claim, and I'm sure people will challenge this, is that 9 times out of 10, the error that you are generating is never going to be deconstructed into its component parts and action taken on one of the individual return values. For example, like when we finalize this, we're in initialization, and you can probably see in here, we're just going to bubble up the error to the next level to error out and most likely log that to the user, because it's probably something that a human being has to take attention to and correct. Not always, but most of the time it is. It only might be, I'm going to say, some sort of recoverable error, like, say in the server code here where it's trying to handle the connection. In this case here, unidentified is actually an error, I'm going to say. I think probably this parse request should return a result, not a, what does it return? It's going to return, it does return a result. And it returns a result because it's actually both parsing and then also deconstructing the parsing. So it's doing two different things, which is a little bit of a misnomer. But the request itself is this unidentified thing. And that's sort of an error, I'm guessing. We're splitting hairs a little bit in this. But let me just stop talking and get into how I'm going to handle error most of the time. So we're going to add the anyhow crate. That's my error message of choice. There's a couple of other ones that can be used for accumulating errors, but for the most part, it's going to do something like this, where it has like a type and it redefines result, doesn't redefine it, where it's a standard result, and then it's really going to be kind of an E sort of thing, and it's going to box that. And you've seen this sort of thing where it's going to box an error, and it's not exactly doing that, but that's sort of what's going on in the error cases. And actually, many ways that you cannot use that in some cases, not many. Very specific reasons. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have your custom errors, but I would probably use anyhow to deal with errors, and then only when I am needing to deconstruct something very specific do I write my own error return or error type. So I'm going to blow this away, and things are not going to fail. And I'm going to pull in anyhow result here, essentially redefining what the result type is. Server is now going to return an anyhow error. That's what this is going to be typed as. You see that anyhow is now the result type. And now I can do this. So we're going to match on, so this can return an error. So I can take this match statement out, change this to a question mark, I believe. Next. And then if next returns 0, I'm going to return OK or else. And I'm going to generate just a string version of this. Anyhow. And this is now my error deconstruction and propagation. So the question mark operator is going to, it does more than just do an if check and propagate the error. It's going to try to convert the error into whatever the return error type is. And probably said that wrong, but with anyhow, it's able to convert almost any error into an anyhow error, and it's just simply going to wrap that into something either went right or something went wrong. When something goes wrong, you're either going to just propagate that up because you cannot or will not try to recover, and at some point you're going to reach an error boundary and log or print that error message. That's the general pattern. Check for an error, deconstruct it. If it's bad, you return it, or you return the error type. Otherwise, you go on with the result type. And at some point, you're going to catch that and log or even drop it. So let me continue on to turn this into something. There we go. So now our socket error is right. If we cannot bind, we can just propagate that error. If we can't build the thread pool, we can just propagate that error. Let's go through the rest of things and clean this up. Oh, we're actually done. That was nice and easy. So let's look at the difference now. Our server diff now looks like this. We took out all of our custom error messages, or our custom error enums. The finalized method was changed to return an anyhow error or anyhow result. So the result type is, the error type is going to be an anyhow error, which is able to encapsulate any type of error. Our actual work that we're doing here, we're not catching every single error. Well, we are catching every single error, but we're not doing some sort of like individual checking or something with this. We're not doing the error deconstruction in our code. We're just saying we can't move on, and if we can't resolve socket errors, so we're going to bubble that up to the next level. Options get turned into this OK or else to map that to some sort of error statement. And I believe that's it. TCP listener can error out in a different way. I think it does return an IO error, but instead of mapping that into something else, we're just gonna return that it failed in some way. And that this is good. So let's commit this, and I'm gonna look for unwraps because I know we have unwrap. So any place we have unwrap, we have expect, we want to propagate errors. And using this anyhow error strategy, almost universally, we can return this into some sort of result type that's going to return or propagate an error. In this case, the function didn't have a return value, essentially saying it's a procedure. But we're going to return that. We're going to turn this into a result that returns an empty set. And usually down here at the bottom, we're going to return OK of the empty set. And we're still actually clean with this. Except, like here it says, okay, handle connection is now possibly going to error. And we need to deal with that in some way. But let's go ahead and change all the expects into what we really want it to be. So parsing request is going to return some sort of IO error. It doesn't really matter what it returns. We know it's a result type, and I'm gonna map error because I want to give this a better description for the user. This is for the user, and this. Anytime I want to sort of add additional information to the error that was provided, this is the pattern that I'm going to use. I'm going to map the error. I'm going to take the error that we did have, construct a new anyhow error with some additional messages, and turn this into the debug version of whatever the error was. So now this is getting propagated correctly. Same thing for unwrap here. We can just return question or put question mark there, put question mark there, and write all. It returns a result type. I don't know what the error is. It's interesting. Oh, probably an IO error, but doesn't matter. Shutdown also has a result. It's an IO result, so I don't care what the error is. I can simply put a question mark because if this fails, something bad happened and we're going to propagate up to that error boundary. So here is our error boundary. And we can do the deconstruction here because this is really the top of our thread. There's nothing else above here. So this is the proper error boundary to capture that. And we can just do this. If error is this, if something went wrong with handling the connection, we're gonna log the error. I don't have that. I'll add this error handling connection, and print out the error because this now goes to the user. I want to add. Where is this? Cargo add tracing. So now we can bring in, come on, use tracing error. There we go. Should be able to build still. And that should be good. The streams here, we're doing this deconstruction sort of thing. So this can error out. Really going to be rare that it can't listen. But let's propagate that out and not worry about this error deconstruction here. And we're not going to panic. There we go. So incoming now says it can only do this. So incoming is not an error type, right? Or is it? What was the message? There we go. So incoming is actually an iterator. This pattern's a little bit different. Hello. So stream is a result type here. Incoming is an iterator, so it's going to return an option indicating either there is a new thing or not, but the inner value of the option is a stream. So the pattern here is just to say let stream equals stream question mark, which will deconstruct this and propagate that as needed. I like to do this to indicate that this is an error boundary. This term error boundary is important, and I'm actually going to, I think, make another video to talk about the sort of philosophy behind this and to deal with this, the narrative on the question mark. Let's check for unwrap. So we have unwrap ors. That it's probably not the right thing to do. Here's another unwrap, but this is in our own test. Unwrapping in a test is fine and actually probably preferred, maybe. It doesn't give you a good error message, but unwrap in tests are just fine. So this is probably pretty good. We've converted everything, not everything, into here. And let's just, we don't need to give it a specific error for parse request. Let's see here. So now server run can actually error out. So in this case, we can just unwrap this because we want this to run all the time. Not run all the time, but it's okay, like I said, in a test to unwrap. But certainly something could fail in the running of your server and you want to let people know, and you don't want to panic in your code. You want to propagate up. So that's good. Longer video. My videos seem to get longer each time. But I think this is a much better thing to do. The only extra thing that we could do here is that at this point of handle connections, we're not actually reporting like a 404 or a 501 to the end user of this web connection. We can't probably, because handle connection takes an owned copy of the stream. So we no longer have access to the stream to do anything to that. So handle connection itself, we can do it two ways. Actually, let's do it this way. Let's take a mutable reference to stream here. Sorry. And do that. I'm just getting ready. At mute stream because we don't have it here. And so now we're good. Before this was passing an owned copy of stream into this, and we don't actually need an owned copy of stream. Actually, okay. Let me close this out because this point is important, and I want to make this important in its own email, or it's in its own video. Let me close this out, and we're going to fix this in the next video.